Welcome to My Love of Life Energy. I'm Anna Scott, your host. I love beautiful, rich conversations that reveal the truth, beauty, and uniqueness of each person I meet, and I'm honored to share them with you. Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life Energy. And I'm beginning a series about the Gene Keys, and I have been devoted to the Gene Keys. I have fallen madly in love with them. And I'm the person who's, if anybody wants to talk about the Gene Keys, I'm like, don't do it because I won't shut up. So today I have the great honor of having Elijah Parker with me, who is kind of deeply immersed within the Gene Keys. Welcome, Elijah.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to get to share in this space together.
Yeah. So how long have you been dancing with the Gene Keys?
Yeah, it's been 15 years now since I first encountered this mysterious white book with a dragonfly on the cover and this invitation into my shadows. But it has been an incredible, life-changing experience. Not so much just the material as deep as it is, but actually as an invitation into my own life, into the genius of, my art and my voice and discovering those gifts inside myself. So it's been a real beautiful anchor and dance partner for these 15 years, dipping in and out in various ways. But I'm very great blessed now to be a primary, I get to share it with Richard. I get to help build the website and the courses, and I get to help bring this body of work to life for a lot of people around the world. So it's been a real honor and gift to be working with the Gene Keys in that way.
I'm so curious. You said right before we talked, or I hit record, you said the Gene Keys got into your heart. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I have a bit of I'm a romantic at heart. I'm a mythical storyteller, and I love different, ways that open my mind and my heart. But I'm equally a cynic and a skeptic. And I joked with you, and not it's not a joke. It snuck into my heart. It also clawed its way into my heart at times. It challenged me. When I first met the book and my profile at the time, there wasn't the online profile, so my partner at the time looked up the astrology and translated it and told me which
Oh,
gene key
wow.
I had, and so it was a whole thing to just even meet my gene key. And the first word is greed, the shadow of greed, and it was just, I'm not a greedy person. This is so rude. How could I? But it inevitably, incredibly showed me these subtle and soft places of my heart that sometimes I wouldn't admit to myself, or sometimes, honestly, I only admitted to myself. And when I'd read the words, and then later, as you get to listen to the audios, and also just live with this key that starts to speak to me in my everyday life, it wasn't long before felt the impact, and I started to see subtle and not so subtle ways where I was greedy or where I was gripping in a need for something that felt constricting. And I watched them start to open and some revelations start to move. And so for me, the proof is in the pudding. And when it started to really show up for me, I said, okay, maybe there's something to this Gene Keys thing. Maybe I'll dive in a little bit deeper.
But the words you just used were so beautiful. They were like poetry and just about like a song, like, you saw the neediness and the constriction and it felt like it moved through you. Is that the
Absolutely.
experience?
That's one of the things I love about language in general, right? Is that language, its power comes in its shared meaning, but that has to come from within. And, poetry and music and art, they move us. They let our bodies be these resonant chambers for wisdom. And wisdom doesn't need anything from me. These words didn't need me to read them or to me to act on them, but they called my heart. They moved me to engage with them. And I love that about true art in any form. But the Jinkies brings it into words, into language. And I have experienced these keys as energies that move inside me. So I will notice them in the shadow state as a victim mindset, and it's always constricted to me. I can feel my blood and my veins get tighter. I can feel
Mm.
my muscles get cramped and my belly get like, ugh, you feel the heaviness. And yet, in the same words, in the same passage, it offers this opening to a gift or even to an enlightened state. And suddenly there's spaciousness and there's, like twinkling in the air. You can kind of feel magic and lightness start to bubble
Mm.
up. And that's a litmus test now for everything I do in the world. Not that constriction is bad and bubbles and good feelings are good, but rather that we live on that spectrum, that we're in a relationship all the time with these energies. And the Gene Keys just articulated them into words so that my mind could remember what my body was experiencing.
I The way you articulated it was with the 60-second G key to brag how I know them, with precision and the relationship to the energies. Can you say more about that? Because that's beautiful.
Yeah. I think that's the, as you said, the 62, when we're looking at these codes, that number means something to both of us because we've explored what Gene Key 62, how its spectrum moves through these different frequencies, how it moves through different examples in our life of where we've been, stuck in the mind and stuck in the head versus precision. It has the ability for words, for thoughts to articulate feelings. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things language can give us the opportunity to do is articulate the unknown, which is why poetry tends to be more accurate to me. There's a really important time for scientific observation, but there's also something mysterious that moves through our hearts that don't always have a linear explanation of, I stub my toe and I yell at my wife, and it has nothing to do with either of those things. It was
Mm.
a deep fear that came from my childhood that resonated with something that I saw in the news. We're non-linear creatures. So we have to pay attention to how the energy's flowing in our life. And oftentimes we get lost with our emotions and our spiritual experiences and our physical feelings. And I think that when we put structure that inspires us, and the Gene Keys is a structure that inspires me, it doesn't close me down. It inspires me to not just remember with my head, but be able to include my mind in the heart's mysteries. Instead of demonizing the mind and the intellect as something wrong, I get to invite the mind into the experience and yeah, like a song. I get to experience life as art instead of life as something cold and detached that I'm begging for
Mm.
meaning.
Oh my God, the difference. It's you just painted two worlds. Do you can you say more
Yeah.
about that? Like I just saw two different universes.
Mm. I think so often that we live in one, the shadow makes it me, the shadow as a identifying with the victim mind. And like a parasite in our body, it makes us think that we are it. From the shadow's perspective, that's all the world is. All the world is doubt and stress and, you know, repressed or reactive anger and fear. And it lives and identifies with that. So constriction, that's why often chronic pain and depression and anxiety, like it's very easy to start to get numb to life because constriction becomes the norm. And it's only until there's an opportunity, an experience where we start to open up and loosen some of those experiences that we realize how constricted that part of me has been. And so the shadow, will often have a biofeedback loop. It'll want to be stuck in a world of no, and a part of our soul, yearns for a yes, and that
Mm.
gets shut down by the world and what we've been taught. And yet the gift is always that yearning for yes, that sprout that can break through the concrete of our conditioning and actually flower. So I think it's that giving courage to those places that are cold and stuck. And instead of making those wrong, the shadow is actually that seed. It's just constricted. Nobody yells at a seed for being too constricted.
I haven't seen it yet, but maybe I will soon. You just gave me a comedy skit.
That's true. And also we throw away a lot of seeds, right? And we don't water certain seeds and many seeds go out into the world and they don't grow into trees. So it's not to say that it's easy or that it's always going to happen that this gift arises from a shadow. I think we can see that in our world, right? There's so much intense violence and hatred and bigotry, and this constriction is pretty heavy. But when those seeds are given the water of compassion, the time, space, gentleness, and care, they actually can flourish. And that's so much more exciting. The miracle of seeing a plant or a tree grow is a miraculous moment of a many seeds that didn't. And that doesn't demonize those places. I think that's what the Gene Keys really helped me remember is not to demonize the challenge or the shadow or the places where we've been victimized or we have been the perpetrators of violence on others. We can't be stuck in that story that that's wrong, but we do need to have the tending like a gardener or like a shepherd. Like, can we tend to those wounds to allow them to actually grow? That's the creative essence, I think, of this gift state.
I there's when you're talking, there's an energy you're speaking from. And it's not intellectual, it's like this beautiful, beautiful feeling, what I would call love,
Mm.
like a foundation.
I love that word foundation. That really resonates to me because I've studied many different philosophies mentally, and I've gotten a chance to like travel the world and learn from different parts of people and often isms, right? Religions and fundamentalism and these different isms that we get stuck in mentally. They're actually
Mm.
built on the universal foundation that every human being has an access point to love, an
Oh,
access point to.
I just felt when you were talking, what I saw you talk about is this hard earth, but underneath it, the foundation of it is this very soft, malleable, loving, available energy.
That's my dare is like, what if the underneath the actual foundation was a free energy, an open source love that doesn't
Mm.
need any other thing to make it valid? That by our very birthright, we are part of that fertile earth of love. And from that, we can still build really cool things, but we don't have to build identity to then be worth something. I think that's one of the illusions, the shadow in its story of trying to be an individual soul, built these structures to feel safe, to feel worthy, to feel loved. And those
Mm.
are shaky foundations. Those foundations crack all the time. And yet there's a faithless faith for me underneath that. Not a faith in someone or something else, but a cellular resonance, a cellular certainty that love is part of whatever this game of being a
Mm.
human is.
Mm. There's a spaciousness when you're speaking about it, and the feeling like a big paw, like I guess I know Richard Rudd, the pause or the take the whole app. I feel like a cliche all of a sudden, so I'm feeling self-conscious, but like there's a pause. Oh, I just got it. Sorry, I just got it. I get the pause in a different dimension right now.
Mm.
And what you're speaking to is the pause in between the words of what's not there.
Mm. all of, music, physics is harmony is music for me. Like these words are kind of interchangeable as we see like the physics of the universe resonates at these harmonic frequencies and these truths that musicians have discovered through the naturalness of feeling the music and playing from that feeling. You can prove it scientifically that actually these frequencies have a relationship to each other, which is why we feel good during certain chords. There's a resonance with harmony. And I think the pause is that critical thing, which of course it's cliche. It's cliche to say all good spiritual truths, they eventually become cliches because we have to remind ourselves so often in our forgetting that the words can just become words sometimes, but the feeling of a real pause,
It's breathtaking.
breathtaking and breath giving.
Mm, true. Unless, well, there is, but yes, that's true. I do now know that, but yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
well, go ahead. What were you going to
No, I
say?
just really loved that what you said of the pause because why what it inspired in me why I said that about music is that is what gives music its depth. That's what gives art and its depth. That's what gives spiritual wisdom its depth. There's always this opening for spaciousness. And I think that that's what the shadow is afraid of, is that spaciousness seems so alien to it because it's
Mm.
learned to keep itself safe by constricting in some way, or exploding if it's more reactive and angry and it wants to push everything out. And that fear of that spaciousness is inevitably the thing that it longs for the most, the thing that we in our pain are actually longing for, but maybe the scariest thing to give ourselves.
You, you know, when somebody knows something really well intimately,
Mm.
you embody the shadow so beautifully, like your relationship with it. And it's interesting. It's so beautiful because of the embodiment of it and the intimate nature that you have with it. I see the gift and I feel this that love. And it's such a paradox.
Paradox is a good word for it. Thank you. That's a really kind reflection of something that's it is very dear to me. I mean, the relationship with the shadow is kind of the game for me, and not that I really seek it, and you know, pain is a really deep, intimate thing. Every person has to be in an intimate relationship with pain, whether they like it or not. From birth to death, through loss, through growth, even growth is pain. All these things are relationship to suffering. And the shadow is in the Jinkies context helped me really keep bringing a relationship to the shadow instead of getting rid of the shadow or the pain is another word for that. And loss has helped me have to be in relationship with pain. Grief is a relationship with pain. Love is a relationship with pain. And so I really honor that's a powerful reflection for me of embodying that because and paradox being such a critical piece to that is when we stop trying to control certain mental aspects of understanding and getting over and fixing the wound, the wound actually gets a chance to unwind and be seen and be felt.
Oh God, I just felt it. It gets a chance to heal itself through just the quality of the relationship. I mean, you seem to um, embody or model a very tender, compassionate, open, curious relationship with the shadow.
In my better days, absolutely. No, I joke because I have to. One of my shadows is purposelessness. And it's my SQ. It's right in my heart center. Purposelessness.
Mm.
And so often I've just been at the mountain of everything that we have to face as humans. And I'm just like, what is the point? Or my shadow of judgment. I'm just crippled with 1,000 needles of everything I've done wrong in my quest for integrity, or my
Mm.
shadow of failure that like I literally just fall into a ball in bed, nauseous of I didn't do it right again. And I'm gonna die for it, or I'm gonna get kicked out of the tribe, or the
Mm.
whole Gene Keys is gonna fail, or my community is gonna exile me, or my wife will be upset. Like these are real portals. And I have luckily been on a journey where I've had really beautiful teachers, really great tools like the Gene Keys, really, opportunities to fall apart and feel held even in my breakdown, which not everybody gets. But I've also learned the times, especially in deep illness or loss, where I can break down and I'm still held by the earth. I can break down and I'm still held by a grace that is bigger than my mind can comprehend. And that's why I do think this foundation is accessible for anyone, regardless of a mental practice or a religious practice or it's not doesn't need anything. It just invites us to remember that we are part of that field of love.
Mm.
Um,
It's funny when you were talking, and that would be the word that I would have used, the 22nd, yay, Anna, of the graciousness, like the graciousness. But there was something you said that was so beautiful. It's to have people who can be with you during that time.
yeah.
And I think like and hold you, it seems, in a way that doesn't try to fix you or make your experience wrong for where you are.
I think it's a really lost art, to witness and hold each other, not lost in all communities, but as a collective experience. And community will never do it right. I think we put a lot of pressure on our friends, on our family, on community of like, no, I need this and I need you to hold me in this way and it needs to be this way and then I'll feel safe and then I'll be seen and then I'll be accepted.
Mm.
But breakdown doesn't really have conditions that you get to control.
That's
So
a truism.
when it happens, grace, like you said, graciousness is what is holding me inside my breakdown. Sometimes it's literally just gravity. That's the only dang thing I can put a name to, and yet I'm being literally held to this earth, no matter how big the breakdown is. Gravity is holding me to the earth. That's an experience. That's not a metaphor. You are always held.
Oh my God, Elijah, that is so beautiful. Like there's just such again, a pause, a moment of reflection,
Mm.
and just to experience that and see that. Mm.
And I think the more of us that are courageous enough to feel that broken, when you see that in another person, that once you've fully had your dark night of the soul and you see another person break down, even when you're confused or you don't have the right language or tools, or maybe you don't have the time or the money to help someone, that's not the kind of compassion I'm talking about. But you know on your heart level what it means to be broken open. A part of your heart recognizes and has compassion and has humanity. It's connected to the humanity. And in that way, we get held, even by people we don't know. And then we start to cultivate friends and community and family and networks that can actually consciously do that. Be like,
Mm.
oh, I hear you. I know what that feels like, and I will hold you without fixing you. But that's a bit more conscious level. And sometimes, I just want to kind of take the pressure off of feeling a lot of people that I talk to feel like they don't have community or family that hold them. And I think that that's probably true on like an emotional intelligence level. Like, yeah, you probably
Yeah.
don't have a lot of people with those skills who will be able to voice that for you. And I think that's in my Jinky 18, the judgment to integrity to perfection, right? There's this, we are perfect and we are perfecting. And so people are, people are perfect where they're at, but let's be honest, we are. As I love to say, dirty, disgusting humans who don't know what we're doing. And we
I always say we're not too kind to each other. We
that's a
haven't like
much
we're a
kinder way.
vicious. We are a vicious group to each other. That one of the things that when I what did I do? I poked around in your files and listened to some of the things because I didn't really know you. I've heard your voice and I loved your music, and I actually thanked you for your music at an event we were at. Um, one of the things that you said really touched me because it's what I want for humanity. It's that we're kinder to each other. Like that to me is such a beautiful wish. Can you say
Mm.
more about what you see around that?
Thank you. That this is one of my greatest wishes, and I love that you use that word because it's actually one of the wishes that I think we is surprisingly achievable. I don't know how we're gonna do a lot in this world, but it feels like
Touch just delights me. It's like, oh yeah, we can do this. I can do this. I know I can. I'm doing it now.
and I was kind of just sitting here before we got on the call and just kind of like being in presence, just shifting from work life to like, okay, now I'm gonna be in this type of a moment. And 10 little things popped up of like, why did I say it that way to that person when I was moving from one street to the other? Why did I do that tiny little thing? Like,
Mm,
that's not me. Like when I really drop into my heart, that's not what I would have said. And I have a lot of forgiveness to myself of like, yeah, that's where you're tired and you're hurt, and that's a way that you've expressed yourself, and or you didn't feel safe, and so you shut down your heart a little bit. And
mm,
I think we have to be kind to that part of ourselves, is not to excuse the violence, the shaming, the blaming, the anger, like not to excuse that behavior. But again, the relationship with the shadows. Ooh, okay, there's something tender there. And when, because of the pause, I had a moment to actually reflect 10 little things that I did that weren't my kindest self.
mm,
And that's okay too, I think, on the journey of kindness is to reflect on those things and to learn from them, but also to be honest with them, which is the kindest thing sometimes I can do to the shadow is to be honest with myself, with the other person, with the pain. To be honest with the pain is a form of kindness.
oh
Yeah.
God, it's so beautiful. I just want to say thank you. I one is that you reflected and saw and could tell the truth about it is so beautiful. Like just so I have honor as my 38th, it's my life's
Mm.
work, purpose. And it's like I could just feel the honoring of yourself for where you were and accepting your humanity. It's just so beautiful. And my guess, your meanness compared to other people's meanness might be a little different, just a little bit.
Maybe today, but I think in a good way, back to the embodying the shadow. I remember a long time ago of my first physical altercation with someone, and I choked them. I was very young. I was young, and I felt the murderer inside me. And I've spit in the face quite literally of people. Like I have been vile. And I think that that's a part of my humanity, like my compassion to violence is oh, I know where that lives in me. I have genuinely taken years to try to be in relationship with my anger because causing violence on others at this point breaks my heart more than anything else. Like I will work to the end of my days to be kinder with my actions than I was before. But I think it's really important to recognize that anger, that shadow, that violence lives in us in some ways. And again, I don't like to glorify it or this is kind of that tricky thing that often people, oh, accept the shadow, and then you just go and do it again. Like that's not accepting
Mm.
the shadow. That's not being honest with the shadow.
The this last week I had a major insight around the person I was most scared about was myself
Mm,
for all the atrocities I've done in past lives. And it's not other people I'm scared of. I'm scared of me and what I will do to other people. It's one thing to be a victim to somebody else. I can live with that. But what's harder is the cruelty that I have the capacity of.
yeah.
That's what's really scary. And that's what you're touching on. And I've just began to go, oh, it's not out there. It's me. I'm scared of my cruelty.
There's an area in the Gene Keys called the core wound, and like that's the sacred temple of that core wound for me. The same as what you just said. Mine is judgment, and like I realized when I could really be with that judgment. My joke is that I realized I was at fault for everything in the world. Everything that I hated about the world, it was my fault. And in a good way. I mean that in like a holy way. I let myself feel that pain inside myself. And the shadow is it is genetically wired to help us survive. Like again, not to like demonize that feeling. It's like actually that cruelty was a part of a survival mechanism. And in this life, maybe my defense systems had to put on a certain thing in order to survive physical altercations to other people, or emotional abuse. We take on these defense systems. They're not wrong. Some of them are just outdated now, and that compassion you have to wait a minute, I'm going to be real with the fear of that cruelty inside myself doesn't mean you should shut your eyes to the cruelty that is outside of you because we're both. We are the whole universe inside us, and we are billions of individual cells having an experience, individuated experience. So I do just want to really honor that of like, okay, well, now I can be in relationship with my part of that cruelty, of that fear, of that distrust. And now I can be in relationship with other parts of that fear, that global connected fear that other people are experiencing.
Mm. Well, what you just showed, not tell, I take a writing class, show, don't tell. You just showed creating a birth because I can be more compassionate with myself and that like really that hurt what I would say. Now all the words have just changed. That other part of me,
Mm,
that part of me too. I'm that too. Because in the relationship I have with that allows me a bigger birth to be in relationship, a kinder relationship with people who have the same thing and not wrong making. Because I go, oh yeah, there I go. It's what you said, me too. I have that too. I know it.
mm. And then we've built a intimacy now. Oh, I know where that lives in me, not your story,
Mhm.
but I know where that lives in me. But now we're building intimacy. And that's where back to your original thing of, oh, being held in my breakdown. When there are people, which I've been blessed to live in communities, both lived in communities and a global Gene Keys community, and also friends around the world, people who are doing this inner work. They
Mm.
recognize the parallels inside themselves, and then they don't have to fix, but they can be there with me along that journey. And in a kinder, softer, slower pace, there's more time to really process that. In
Mm.
crisis, we don't always have the luxury of that level of pause and spaciousness. And that's where I think we harden our shells because we have to survive, we have to get through that experience. But the quicker, the more in tune we are internally to the shadow and our inner relationship with the shadow, the quicker we can actually be in relationship to each other, including in crisis. And now we've built that intimacy, we can actually build a better world based off of our shared experience of learning from the shadow.
What's so beautiful, what you're pointing to, is that um, the softness in the relationship or the inclusion of it, like that's the allow.
Mm.
accept, and embrace, um, that you are doing with yourself, it allows other people to do the same. And that's the intimacy. That's the embodiment of it. Because it's not words, it's actual embodied, and the bodies can feel it.
Hmm. And entrainment, right? Resonance and entrainment. Now we can be in that shared frequency together, which is what's so beautiful about intimacy with friends and community is like, I just need to regulate, co-regulate with you because I'm afraid. And right now you're actually pretty solid. You can resonate that trust a little bit deeper, not as a codependent thing of, oh, give me your strength and I don't need to find it, but actually help my body remember that. And I think that that's really where what we've missed inside that like communal co-regulation is spaciousness to, yeah, I don't have to fix you because honestly, I fix you today, even if I could. Let's just pretend I could fix you today. It sure as heck is going to break down again tomorrow, and you're going to need that person or that thing or that teaching to fix you.
Oh, oh, this is the difference in the gene keys, Elijah, that you just point to. That so there's another word because the gene keys don't fix, and that's where things need to get broken, fixed, like washers and dryers. But when something isn't broken, it doesn't need to be fixed. It's like remembering the wholeness, remembering the whole. There's a different word, and I don't know what it is. Do you have it?
I like what you're describing. I don't know the word for it, but I like that feeling of wholeness. A one of the ways we describe it actually is a gentle path to wholeness, right? That
Mhm.
is a part of it. It is a very, we're unwinding and unlearning, not trying to fix and control, because that's a shadow concept, right? That we're broken and we need fixing, or that it's chaotic and it needs control. And again, it's so difficult sometimes for me because as a kind of, my Libra moon essence, like I see all the sides of an argument and I don't like to lead with, oh, there's no fixing that needs to happen because we live in a broken world. My judgment, Jinky, knows very clearly there's things that have been spoiled in our society and in ourselves. We're sick. So the gene keys, like you said, isn't here to fix. But that doesn't mean that repair and healing doesn't happen
That's
from it,
it. That's
right?
that's it. It's a different word. It's a different energy, and it's a come from. And I just felt it, and I've never felt it before.
Mm,
It's an energetic. It comes from the repair. Comes from that fertile soil underneath the heart.
mm,
That's where I'm feeling, and I hadn't felt it before. Yeah, we do need to be repaired. We do need to be healed, but that's not a fixing. That's a different
mhm.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're coming to the end. And the reason that I started this whole podcast is because one is I'm a lover of the Gene Keys, and this is like crack to me. This is my idea of a good time, is to talk about it and share it with the world. And there's a large program that's coming out that I wanted to support and promote because that was something I felt like I could do. I could put this out in the world. So would you mind sharing what's coming up?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have the Sage's Golden Path retreat starting, and these retreats, they're online retreats. So we have weekly webinars and experiences and content, but really it's a global field that we're
Mm,
all in the rhythm of the gene keys of contemplating my individual profile and your individual profile, but we're contemplating together in this field. And one of the things that I've noticed is so powerful is one, a little bit of accountability to remember, right, we're doing this jinky this week. I can inspire myself to bring in this jinky into my awareness today. But it links into my daily life. I don't go on retreat for the weekend and have to get a babysitter and do all these things. I live in my life. I pay my taxes. I do the garden. I go to my job. The jinkies is a contemplative
mm,
practice, so it's in the background, but it's
mm,
it's inspiring and it's magical. There's synchronicities that, when you show up and you put your attention somewhere, the universe responds. So we open one gene key in your profile every month. And of course, you can dance and there's many resources, but really it allows this rhythm of contemplation. And it helps newcomers feel like there's a step-by-step path, but it also helps people who've done a lot of deep work in their lives get this added wellspring of the synthesis, these different teachings of embodied practices and philosophical reminders and archetypes. So we're really excited to weave really 15 years for me and 20 years for Richard of specific wisdom into this retreat so that as many people in their daily lives, maybe they can feel that community we talked about of a place that they can break down and break through inside their lives. Because there are community calls with people all over the world, and there's webinars with hosts that are asking powerful questions, not to fix, not to teach, not to heal you, but to hold an inspiring contemplative cauldron for this magic to work in our daily lives. That's the retreat that we're inviting everyone on.
The thing that I would like to say that I think is also valuable is that I believe we've forgotten what that fertile field feels like. And I think it's such an invitation to remember and get a taste of that so my body can remember what it feels like. Because it's such a different vibration. When I've gone on to some of the calls, the energy is so clear and strong of the frequency of love that my body's like, whoa, what happened here? Because there's no doubt about it.
Mm.
So that would be my invitation, is to come remember what it's like. And then to bring that to your barista, to bring it to the person.
Totally.
Who there was a woman today who opened up the pool where I swim, and she drives an hour to get here. And I was so grateful for her because she did that for me.
Mm.
And I saw the beautiful connection. So my wish is that we're kind.
Absolutely. Thank you for
And
sharing that wish.
yeah, no, I do. I share that wish. Is there anything else you want to say in closing, Elijah?
Just that thank you for inviting me here and just to hear and sharing presence. And I really love the reflections that you've had of because for me, okay, if I want to step up my wish that we're all kind, that we all are inspired again to find
Mm.
this magic of connection, of intimacy, of grace, of digging into our shadows, of being real with ourselves and each other. And inspiration and magic is words I use a lot because it's what gives lift to my heart. And one of my projects that's coming out also next year is I've been working for decades now on taking the Gene Keys in a different into it's an app that's one of its physical products, but more than that, it's a journey of the golden thread in beautiful geometries and bringing
Oh,
contemplation into our lives every day. And that's my wish is that more people get inspired, that they bring these contemplative quests into their life.
mm. What's going to be the name of the app?
It'll be the Gene Keys app. And
Oh, wow,
so,
it's going to be,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
great. I
yeah.
can't wait. I've been a big lover. The music, I meditate to it every morning. Well, not every
Beautiful.
morning. I should say about maybe five
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of six.
yeah, of course.
But I like to be dramatic. So,
Well,
well,
if
thank
you're joining us on the retreat, you'll be the first to see it. So come,
Okay,
you'll
great.
get to.
I'll be there. I will be there. Anything else that you want to say?
No, thank you so much again for just sharing this moment.
Thank you. So much love. And people, you can go to genekeys.com. Please check out this program that's coming up. And if you're interested in any other material or finding out more about Gene Keys, you can connect Elijah, or you can contact me or anybody in the community. Thank you.